All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive. We're going all in on Nicole Wallace today.
Ooh, exciting.
I know, right? So you sent over this interview from Standish Vogue, and
Yes. Yes.
it is amazing.
I know, I thought it'd be a great one to really kind of dig into.
It's packed
Yeah,
with so much good stuff
it is.
about her whole journey and how she thinks about fame and her work to support women in film. You ready to jump in?
I am so ready. Let's do it.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
I was really struck by something right at the beginning.
Okay.
She talks about her family,
Okay.
and especially her mom, really encouraging this love of cinema
Right.
in her and her sister Chloe when they were little. Do you think that that really set the stage for both of them to have careers in film?
I think it's fascinating to think about how much that early exposure, being immersed in film from such a young age, how much that might have actually shaped, both of their creative sensibilities. I mean, think about it. Chloe's a director now.
Yeah.
And Nicole, well, Nicole. So, that's a
Yeah.
pretty powerful
Well,
foundation.
speaking of Nicole's career,
Yeah,
we have to talk about Culpa Mia. I mean, 6 months after it came out,
I know.
it's still at the top of all the Prime Video charts around the world.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about that film
I know. It's so interesting.
that's connecting with
It's such a good question.
so many people everywhere?
I mean, it's interesting because it's not, you don't see that often, right? Like this kind of global success
Yeah.
for a Spanish language
Yeah.
production. I mean, this is pretty rare. So, yeah, I think it makes you wonder if it's tapping into some kind of universal theme, or if it's just such a well-made film
Right.
that it's just kind of breaking through those language barriers. It's interesting.
It really is. It's so addictive, too. So before Culpa Mia, she was in the Spanish version of Scam,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
which was like a huge hit
Yeah, huge with teens.
with teens.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think those kinds of shows like Scam and all the ones like it, they really create this kind of like instant, like connection with viewers, particularly younger ones, like the ensemble cast, like the real life issues.
Mhm.
It feels really authentic, I think.
Yeah.
And relatable, and kind of pulls you in,
Yeah.
and then you feel like you're part of their world. So and for actors, for up and coming actors, it's like this
Yeah.
amazing launch pad.
For sure. But then there's also kind of the flip side of that.
Right.
Like that really intense fandom that can be,
Yeah, it can get out of control.
yeah, really overwhelming.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting that she talked pretty openly about the downsides of fame
Yeah. No, I think it's great.
and how it can be like living under a microscope.
I think it's really refreshing to hear her honesty about it,
Yes.
especially like these days where you've got social media and, the line between your public life and your private life
Yeah.
is so blurred. So, yeah, especially for someone so young and being thrust into the spotlight like that.
Yeah.
And, having to deal with that scrutiny, it must be really, really challenging.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she even talks about how that affects the people in her life too,
Oh, yeah, of course.
which has to be really hard.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's an important point to remember, right? Like
Yeah.
the cost of fame isn't just something that the individual bears, right? Like it
Yeah.
affects their whole circle,
Right.
like friends and family, that constant kind of like invasion of privacy
Mhm.
and the potential for harassment. It's,
Right.
it just highlights
Yeah.
how difficult the trade-offs can be.
Right. And then despite all of that,
Yeah.
she's using her platform to do some really good things
Yeah.
too.
That is-
Like
mhm.
being involved with Not One More, which is that film
Right.
that addresses gender violence
And Randy Machismo.
machismo. I mean, I think it says a lot about how she wants to use her voice
Oh, absolutely.
for change.
I think Not One More is a great example of how celebrities can use their influence, right?
Yeah.
To really shine a light on these really, really important social issues. And I think it's really admirable that she's choosing to do projects that align with her values and
Yes.
and really contribute to important conversations.
Absolutely. And there's this one part in the interview about make Not One More
Okay.
that really stood out to me. She talks about being in this room
Yeah.
full of all these powerful men and feeling like nobody was listening to her.
Right.
What do you make of that experience, especially given that she, speaks out for women in film?
Right. I mean, it's such a striking anecdote, and I think it really kind of gets to the heart of the challenges that women still face
Yeah.
in the film industry. Here she is, this rising star
Yeah.
with a platform, and even she's encountering those situations where her perspective is being kind of like minimized just because she's a woman.
Right.
I think it just kind of it reminds us that there are these systemic power dynamics
Yeah.
that are still so persistent,
Yeah.
even as we're trying to move towards more equality and more representation.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really disheartening.
Yeah.
But I really admire how she, like, didn't let it stop her,
Yeah.
Like, she kept pushing for people to hear her, and she said eventually, like, the writers and the producers,
Right.
they listened to her input,
That's good.
which is good.
Yeah, that's encouraging.
Yeah, it's really encouraging. It shows that there are people, who are willing to listen.
Right, and to create a more collaborative environment, which is what we want.
Exactly. Okay, so I want to change gears a little bit.
Okay.
Talk about her style.
Okay.
Because she said this thing about feeling like a chameleon
Oh, yeah.
that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Like, she's really embracing, like, transforming and pushing the boundaries with fashion and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's wonderful to see her, kind of expressing herself and
Yeah.
fashion, like any art form, right,
Mhm.
can be this incredible tool for self-expression and just exploring different sides of yourself.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like that's what she's doing, trying different things and experimenting
Yeah.
with different aesthetics, and that's awesome.
And she's rocking it. She looks amazing.
Yeah, she does.
And speaking of transformations, remember that part in the interview where she talks about being at the Dior show during Fashion Week in Paris?
Oh, yeah.
She even said, like, she felt a little bit out of place with all the, like,
The glamour.
yeah, the glamour and everything. What do you think about that, especially now that she's a Dior beauty ambassador?
I mean, I think it's a really, it's interesting because even as, her fame is growing, it's like
Yeah.
she's still kind of grappling with,
Yeah.
how surreal it is to be, to be at that level. And it's, to imagine being in that situation surrounded by all these, fashion icons
Right.
and to feel like you don't belong. I think it's human, right? It's kind of this reminder that even people who seem to have it all
Yeah.
still experience moments of self-doubt.
Yeah, it makes her seem even more relatable.
Absolutely.
But then this Dior partnership
Yeah.
does seem like a pretty big deal for her career, What do you think? How do you think that might affect her trajectory?
I think it's a definite sign
Yeah.
that her influence is growing, I mean, it positions her, as this global style icon,
Right.
someone who can kind of like go beyond just acting, right?
Yeah.
And make an impact in the fashion world.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, how she uses this partnership, maybe to support causes that she cares about, maybe to promote more inclusivity
Yeah.
in the beauty industry. It's going to be exciting to see what she does.
Yeah. Oh, there's this one quote from the interview that I just keep thinking about.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
She says, "In this world, you have to be creative. We forget a little that we are here to create art."
Oh, I love that.
I know. It's so
It's so simple,
simple, but
but so profound. I
Yes.
think it really speaks to her core values,
Yeah.
like it's this reminder that amidst, all the glitz and glam
Yeah.
and the red carpets and the photo shoots and everything, her real driving force is the passion
Yeah.
for her craft, for storytelling.
It's so true. And you can see that in everything she does,
Yeah.
from her roles to
Yeah.
the causes that she supports. So after this whole deep dive into the interview with Nicole Wallace,
Yeah.
what stands out the most to you?
I think what really strikes me is her authenticity. She's not afraid to be vulnerable, to share her struggles,
Yeah.
her triumphs, and I think that's
Yeah.
really inspiring. She's using her platform
Yeah.
to speak her truth and to advocate for change, and she's doing it all with this infectious enthusiasm and,
Yeah.
and this fierce determination.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I have a question for you and for everyone listening. How do you think Nicole Wallace will continue to use her growing platform to advocate for change, within the entertainment industry and beyond?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? Like she's already doing so much, speaking out about gender equality and pushing for more diversity in film.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, what's next? What's she going to tackle next?
Yeah. And she's not afraid to kind of like shake things up a bit, right?
Mhm.
Remember when she talked about, like, not being heard in that room full of powerful men?
Oh, yeah, definitely
Like, it
agree.
seems like she's figuring out how to handle those situations
Yeah.
and make sure that people are listening to her.
Yeah, she's not backing down.
Yeah. So what do you think that means, like, for her ability to really make a difference and create some lasting change?
I think it's really inspiring, honestly. It shows that she's not just gonna, accept the way things are, right?
Right.
She's willing to like challenge the status quo, challenge those people in power and fight for a more inclusive and equitable industry. And as her platform grows,
Yeah.
her ability to like amplify those messages and inspire other people, it's only going to get stronger.
It's really exciting to think about the possibilities.
It is. It is.
Right. Like, maybe she'll even start producing or directing
Oh, totally.
and creating, like, more opportunities for other women.
Yeah. Yeah. Giving them a voice, telling those stories that don't always get heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like she has a pretty clear idea of the impact she wants to make,
Yeah,
both in front of the camera and behind it.
totally. And it'll be so interesting to see what path she takes,
Yeah.
and how she uses her influence to make a difference for those things that she really cares about.
Well, I have a feeling we're going to be surprised.
Oh, for sure.
Just like she said, she's like a chameleon, constantly changing and discovering new things
Yeah.
about herself. So what are some other ways you could see her using her platform?
Well, she's already shown that she's really passionate about using her voice to speak out against injustice.
Yeah.
So I could see her maybe partnering with organizations that, work to combat gender violence or promote education for girls and women, empower them.
Yeah.
Or maybe she'll, focus on environmental issues or LGBTQ plus rights. I mean, there are so many possibilities.
It's really inspiring to see someone, especially someone so young,
Yeah,
using their platform to do so much good.
absolutely.
And it's not always about the big, huge issues, right? Like,
No, not at all.
it's also the smaller moments, like the everyday things where she can,
Right, just challenge those norms
yeah, challenge norms,
and inspire people to
inspire change.
to think differently.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, last question. What are you most excited to see from Nicole Wallance in the future?
Honestly, I'm just excited to see her keep like defying expectations.
Yeah.
She's already proven that she's not afraid to take risks and push boundaries, speak her mind.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see what stories she tells,
Yeah.
what challenges she decides to take on, and what kind of impact she has on the world. It's going to be amazing.
I love that. I couldn't have said it better myself. So to everyone listening, keep an eye out for Nicole Wallance. She's a force to be reckoned with. And I think we're just seeing the beginning of what she can do.
Couldn't agree more. It's been so great, diving into this interview with you.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of Nicole Wallance. We hope you enjoyed it and learned some interesting things, and we'll see you next time. Keep exploring and keep asking questions and keep diving deep.